This video will be about using a bead of silicone glue to make sure there's an airtight seal. Bead is just a term used for applying a thin strip of a sealant. So the epoxy that I used is probably enough to absolutely prevent any air leakage between where the jar is attached. Well, actually not. For leakage with the jar, I'm actually going to be relying on the seal, and I'll probably add maybe a little coat of honey or sugar water to create a seal with these ridges in the cap. But to prevent leakage between the fan and the jar, which provided that the seal between the jar and the lid is good, this will create an airtight seal between the filter and this fan that is pumping the air. So I'm just want to make sure there are no gaps and no air bubbles. You just apply the bead. The bead is what you see trailing behind this glue dispenser. And this will just be an extra layer an extra level of certainty that there's no air leakage. What's very nice about this silicone caulk is that even after it fully cures, curing is the chemical process where it changes consistency. It's different from drying, because drying means that you're actually losing moisture content, and there are other ways for materials to change rather than just that. Oops, got a little bit on my hand. So you always want to have, when you're working with glue, something to wipe with. And this glue gives a lot of fumes off, so I have a window open right next to this, and I'm going to put this in an area that vents directly to the outside. If you have a back porch, you could also use that. And I'm just going back over this bead just to press it in and neaten it up. Also reduce the weight. On an earlier design, I used a bit much of this on a fan, and it's actually 22 grams, which is about maybe a fifth the weight of a baseball cap. But glue can really add up. Okay, I think I've got a tight layer. Might go back over here because I think I wiped off a little bit more than I intended. Okay, so now I have this bead of silicone glue going all the way around. I think this is where I picked up a little bit with my finger. One thing about this glue is it will, if there's little parts of it sticking up, they can actually catch on things and be peeled off, and then make it easier for it to come apart. I think that's good, and I will just let this dry. See, I have this hose being pumped out of where my 3D printer is, so I can just set this inside the 3D printer housing, and then I won't have to worry about any of the fumes.